Hey everybody, and I'm going to use this presentation to talk about our final project for class. This is an exciting opportunity. It's one of the best ways to learn. It's taking what you're learning and applying it to a specific activity, which is building a plan. So you're really going to get a lot out of it. You're going to basically, while you're putting this together, you're going to combine what you learned from class, from the concepts, ideas, from the lectures, from the supplemental materials, the videos, that kind of thing. You're going to do some solid, thorough research, and you're going to incorporate that, and you're going to use your own ideas as you put this thing together to create a multi-step new product marketing plan. Okay, so basically the project is 4 milestones. I put this thing about 3 to 5 pages. That's going to be about what you would expect to shoot for in terms of when you put it together. When you've turned them in, I'll grade it, but I'll also send you some feedback, which you should incorporate into your original milestone and do some revisions. And note the grading rubric, which is the same for every milestone that you do. Okay. So again, as I mentioned, you are going to incorporate the class concepts, your research, and your own ideas into this. Into the project in each milestone. And each milestone has a template listed within content that you're going to describe what you want to address during your, as you complete it. Your final project submission basically compiles and pulls together all your revised milestones, and you do kind of a little bit of a summary to it. So believe it or not, it's not that hard to do if you've been doing and keeping up with the milestones themselves. And when you finish, you're going to be a marketing rock star, I promise. Okay. So now building a plan is like building a building. Does it start with a blueprint? The answer is no. Does it start with an architect's drawing? The answer is no. It starts with finding the best building spot. And when you do that's such an important step, because that's exactly what everybody else is going to use to contribute to the building plan. Okay. The right spot is the one that fits the strategy of the organization. Does it support the overall mission? Does it fit the overall strategy? And does it support the growth strategies of the firm? If the answers to those questions are no, then it probably isn't going to proceed very far beyond bringing it to the table. And I've had that happen to me many times, so I would say that it's not the worst thing in the world. But having said that, if you want to move it forward, the better you fit into this, into these questions, the better off you're going to be. So the company itself, Mr. B's company, is we have an idea for a new product. It does support the mission of the organization. It's producing highest quality, healthy condiments. It fits the strategy of offering specialty products positioned as a premium and high quality, so that's definitely within the realm. And it complements the overall brand, leveraging our successful salsa products that we have out in the marketplace already. There's some Silicon salsa, and it's prepackaged guacamole. Okay, so salsa and guacamole, how can you go wrong? So that's what we're going for. We have an idea for the product, but who will want it, right? That's a really important question. That's really the foundational question as we build our plan. So milestone 1 is we're going to define the target market. This is by far and away the most important step that you're going to do in the entire plan. You're going to do some research to define demographics, psychographics. You're going to, from this, you're going to write a generalized definition of the target market. Now, you normally wouldn't do that in a marketing plan, but we're going to do it for this, because it makes future research much easier. So you're going to take what you see in your research and back out of it and make some kind of a generalized statement about it. It has to be inclusive of what we know about the target market definitions are. So as an example, if we find out that the market are women between 30 and 45 years old and they have children, then we're going to say they're millennial moms. Now, that's the general definition, millennial moms. But having said that, if you look up things, future research, like say, well, where do millennial moms shop, for example, it's way easier to do than saying, where do 30 to 45-year-old women with children shop that have for guacamole? you know, you can find that's probably a little more difficult to come up with some information for. So hopefully you understand what I mean by that. If you don't, certainly let me know. And then you're going to do one more step. You're going to define a persona. A persona is a fictitious character that you create about that kind of takes all your characters into characteristics of your target market into play. And it's a kind of composite of all those things, and it's in a person. It's like somebody you're making up in a story or a play or a movie or something like that. And you're going to write your persona as if you're describing this person to somebody else. So I love this picture, by the way, in the PowerPoint, because it shows a person, but it's a conglomeration or a compilation of all these different individual pictures. So that's kind of what a persona is. I thought that was a pretty good description of it. So this whole thing is the most important step. So milestone 1 is a big one, all right? Because it is the foundation for the rest of our project. So if you look at the way we build a building, for example, we know that if you ever watched this happen, people, when the builders are doing this, they excavate and they build a foundation first, because that's what everything else is based on, okay? So the whole rest of the building is dependent on the solid foundation, and that's what our target market research is. It's our foundation for everything else. So milestone 2 is define and position the product itself. All the marketing strategies that we come up with for the 4 Ps are centered on one thing, the target market. And you're always going to keep that in mind, because there's a reason why you have a target market, and that reason is pretty simple, is it allows you to focus your energy and your resources and everything towards the right group of people, okay? You're going to match the needs and wants of the target market with the features and benefits of our product. You have to actually think that through. You go, what do they need and want? You can do a little research and find that out. And then we're going to look at the features and benefits of our product and tweak them to make sure that we're matching the needs and wants of our target market. Knowing what they want, research will really help here. It will help us understand where we should be with the product itself. So that allows us to define what is important, take a look at and then we're ultimately going to take a look at the competitors and see where they are positioned. You know, the premium guacamole market. We're going to look at them, who's out there. Take a look at a handful of them and say, like, okay, where do they sit? How are they positioned? And we need to find out where we fit into that whole scenario. So in milestone 3, we're going to talk about pricing and distribution strategy. We're kind of doing 2 at once, but that's okay. They're not really all that related, but we're going to do them just because our class is short. All right. So our pricing strategy. What pricing approach should we use? We'll talk about what those are as we get into that part of the class. But the positioning exercise you just did in the last milestone will really help you out a whole lot here in determining where your pricing strategy should be. Okay. And we're going to talk about that more as we go along. The place part of the strategy, or the distribution, is we're looking at distribution to shopping channels. So we think about the supply chain is the popular word for that, and we're going to define where and how to offer the product ultimately to the target market. Ultimately, it should be based on how and where the target market shops for products like ours. So we're going to have to do a little research to figure that out. But again, if we have a good generalized definition of our target market, it won't be that hard to do. It's likely going to be a multi-channel strategy, meaning you're going to sell through more than one channel of distribution, but one of them has to be primary, and that's pretty simple, because otherwise you just simply don't have the resources and the time to concentrate on lots of different channels to go through. So the last milestone is milestone 4, where we talk about our promotion and messaging strategy. By the way, that is very commonly mixed up for students between what is a promotion strategy and messaging strategy and what's a distribution strategy, because they have this very similar feel to them. So I can see where it can be a little confusing, but you have to make sure we really understand what the purpose of each is. So your promotion strategy is also likely a multi-channel approach, but one of those channels has to be primary. You cannot spread so thin as to go into so many different things that you can't do any of them well, and that is a very typical problem. So you just want to make sure that you kind of place your bet in the right place. What is the right place? It's where your target market gets their information, news, entertainment, they socialize. what channels they likely participate in, so whether it be social media, TV, online, streaming, apps, radio, who knows? There's a lot of different things that you can take into consideration. And then you have to think about what is the key marketing message you want to get across. And that should be reflective of where you've positioned your product, so you know that you're speaking to your target market directly on things that they think are important. The final plan that you're also going to turn in is a compilation of all your revised milestones together. You're going to summarize your conclusions, choices, and reasons. And then the very last thing we're going to do is do a little discussion post and see how each other looked at it through the whole thing. It's kind of a fun exercise to do. Final points. Make sure to properly cite your research using class and use of class materials or any of your research. Like I said, using the APA method, I have lots of support out there for you to do that. Take a real hard look at the rubric so you understand exactly what you're trying to accomplish for a grade. And the overall objective ultimately is to apply what you're learning in class to this plan. Okay, so keep that in mind. That's really what you're trying to do. So you want to be able to express or demonstrate that you really understand what you're learning in class as you build this plan. So my final advice to you is basically really understand the class concepts before you write the milestone. Do solid research. List all the sources as you take notes from them, and please do that. I mean, it's really, really an important step. And it makes doing the reference list that you're going to have to do for the citation a whole lot easier. Take clear notes. They come in handy when you're compiling your writing. And seek clarity from me if you're struggling, confused, or otherwise wringing your hands. Don't do it. Reach out to me sooner than later. I can get you set up in the right direction, okay? So good luck to all of you rockstar marketing managers. You're going to do a great job, and I hope you have some fun with it.